Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, you're with me, Mike Spider Slayer. Get ready to do the countdown. That's right, fans, countdown episode number 73 is upon us. We have 12 comics altogether, 11 physical copies, one digital copy that I read this week. So with that being said, let's waste no time this week and let's get back to the countdown, and we're going to start with number 12. And number 12 this week was DC's Future and Earth 2. Yes, we can see the cool cover. Unfortunately for me, Mike Spider Slayer, this book was a miss. I thought that this focused more on Mr. Terrific in a way than the characters from Earth 2, and the cover was very misleading. It really had nothing to do with Red Tornado or Lois, really. It was very little, maybe a page, if that. If I was reading this particular book, I would think that, yes, it's a Future's End book in general because it's so focusedly heavily on Mr. Terrific. Basically, we get to see in this issue that they've created all these types of devices that can pinpoint people that are not from this earth or have special abilities or whatnot, and they're almost like grifters in a way, because Grifter has that ability to point out people that have abilities and aliens and things like that. This had a lot to do with Sloan, how he faces himself in the issue, and I really thought it was all over the place and really didn't have anything to do with what the Earth 2 comic was about, except, again, with Sloan. I thought the Earth artwork in this particular issue was solid. However, again, it was all over the place for me, and I just didn't enjoy it. And it was something totally that I did not expect from this series. This is a nice page here. So with that being said, in short, I'm going to give this book a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Again, very misleading. All right, so next we go on to number 11. And number 11 for me this week was Green Lantern, DC's Future End issue number 1. Here again we get to see Hal Jordan, and then he gets turned into stone. So when I was thinking of this particular issue, I was like, okay, where's this going to go? What's going to happen? And what Robert Venditti does in this issue is that he brings back Krona and makes him the sole possession of the Black Ring. And we get to see that his father was sent back, to Hal Jordan and whatnot. And his father can, I guess, withhold. He has great willpower, so he can control the power that Chrono was making him this Black Knight or whatever it was. And then what happens is you see all the Black Knights, they're all gathered around the Source Wall. Somehow we see Relic gets back into the picture, so Robert Venditti wastes no time in bringing back Relic because that's his baby, that's his creation. So obviously he's going to combine the Black Knights with Relic, and Relic teams up with Hal Jordan, and then Hal Jordan kind of sacrifices himself, and he's going to die. And they feel that the only way to stop Hal Jordan from dying is kind of putting him in the Source Wall to kind of preserve him. And Relic says, well, I'll try to figure out a way to, bring him out. And, it was promised to him by his father. So, again, I thought there was a solid story here. Like, it was, I'm kind of lost for words because for Green Lantern these days, I'm not a huge fan of Robert Venditti's writing. I think it's too intergalactic. I think with Green Lantern, yes, you're going to get stories that are in the cosmos and whatnot, but it seems like everything is focused in the galaxy. Not much is focused at all on Earth. Ever since Red Lanterns, they're the guardians of 2814 and Sector Earth, and you get to see the reflection here of Hal Jordan on that. But in the same sense, it's just I don't like the direction of Green Lanterns right now. It's kind of a disappointment. Every book is an event. Every book crosses over with each other. And I think the Green Lantern series, what it needs in general, is it needs its own individual stories and own individual runs again. And that's how I feel about it. Just let Green Lantern Corps be Green Lantern Corps, be Green Lantern, and whatnot. And when I read this book, I was like, okay, we brought back Relic, and Hal Jordan's stuck in a wall. How long is he going to be stuck in there for? You know? So I don't know. I just thought there was a lot of questions not answered, obviously, like how did Relic come out? What's going to happen to Hal Jordan? I guess that's a mystery left up to the reader. I thought it was okay, and I gave it a 3 out of 5. I can go on and on. Artwork was solid in the book, and I thought that they actually, thought they had I don't know, it's like Electro right there. Doesn't that look like Electro from Spider-Man? So I saw that in there. I was laughing. So, all right, moving on. Not going to dwell on Green Lantern too long. So 3 stars for that. All right, so top 10. Number 10, we're going to go on to Superman Action Comics, issue number 1. Cool cover here. We get to see Superman turn into this type of sand. And when you're a reader, or when you first look at this cover, you're kind of like, okay, interesting. And you get to see these kids throughout this issue wind up getting these particular powers. One kid's getting beat up, but he has, I guess, what was it, invulnerability or strength, not invulnerability. One girl tries to commit suicide in the beginning of the issue, and she winds up having the gift of flight. And then there was another kid that had, another person that had something with like no feeling or whatever it was. So all these kids had different gifts of Superman, and there was this sand Superman, or the sand-like Superman, that was going to all these kids and giving them all these powers or whatnot. And then towards the end of the issue, we get to see Superman, who meets up, the Sand Superman meets up with Clark, and Sand Superman saying, hey, I have one more last gift to give, and he gives him the gift of life, because he makes this sand that was fertile. Because 5 years from now, if you read Future's End, Superman was kind of left in hiding. He did something wrong. He's been trying to bring back this farm, and this Sand Superman gives him, like, I guess it's a gift of life, and Clark has to looks like he's reflecting back on himself on things that he did. I thought the artwork in this particular issue was kind of blurry. It's hard to tell really on here. But when you're reading it, you're like, is there something wrong with my eyes? Why does everything look so like smudgy or blurry or something like that? So I think it kind of took away from it. I think Superman fans are going to like this particular issue because I guess it's kind of true to the character from pre-New 52, but completely different from the Superman that you're reading right now. So if you're a fan of the new Superman, you might be upset, but if you're a fan of the old Superman, you might be happy. And, I think it was a solid story, good meaning here, and I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It may have been lower on the list, but I just thought there were better books on my list for me, because I'm not a huge Superman fan. All right, so that was number 10. So next we have number 9 on the list, and that is the conclusion to Superior Foes of Spider-Man, issue number 15. Nick Spencer has done a great job, and written a fun book for the readers that has to do with the Sinister Six. That's what he has done, and he's incorporated Boomerang, Beetle, Speed Demon, the Shocker, and he's incorporated Silvermane's head in this series. And if you've read this series, you've grown to love these characters' personalities, because they're funny, they're down to earth, and it's a different side that you see of them from when you're reading the Amazing Spider-Man books. And in the conclusion of this actual series is you get to see Shocker finally grow a pair of balls. He declares himself the mob boss, but winds up getting his ass handed to him by Beetle, and he winds up getting buried alive in a coffin in the issue. And you wind up seeing basically our Sinister Six members finally getting that big score that they've been waiting for their entire lives, their entire series. And I thought it was very well done. There's good character moments here. It's always been funny. It's always been witty. And I really enjoyed the issue and the series as a whole. And by the time you get to the end of it, again, you get to see all our Sinister Six members, win their major bar fight and get that big score that they've been waiting for all this time, which was this fake Doctor Doom, painting with a face, which is again a fake, that they think they have all this money, and Silvermane's head, which is worth a ton of money for the Magia. So, yeah, great book, great series. Sad to see it go, but how long can you have a series go on like this? So, in the end, I'm going to give this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Maybe not as much action as I liked in this final issue. Maybe not as funny as past issues. However, a very solid read. All right. So hopefully maybe you guys can check out that series in a trade or whatnot if you have not read that. All right. So we go on and we were at 12, 11, 10, 9, and now we're on to number 8. And number 8 is New 52's Futures End, issue number 18. And here it's got Constantine on the cover, and he's covering himself with his coat or his trench coat from the blazing hot sun. Last issue was number 1 on my list, and I really enjoyed it because it had to reveal that Shazam was posing as Spider-Man, as Superman in Metropolis, Future's End, 5 years from now. And Superman was left hanging in some desert, and you're like, what has happened with Superman? What's going on, So this issue is playing right off the heels of the last issue. It leaves off where Superman is, what he's doing on this particular farm. He talks with Constantine. He has a little dispute because he feels that he shouldn't be in, being Superman anymore. But unfortunately, what the issue does not do is it doesn't reveal anything. It doesn't tell you what happened to Superman, where the hiccup was, what happened in the Great War. And that's what I really wanted in this particular issue. Hopefully that they were hitting on. And then the same thing here with Billy. Billy interacts with Lois in the issue, and then she says this, she and he have a conversation, and they talk, and they say the same thing, but you don't get any answers to your questions in this issue, and I was so hoping for that. So that's why this gets the downgrade for the issue. Then after these initial stories, you get, again, you get the story with Amiko and Big Barda, how they're going to the actual island, and then you wind up seeing Green Arrow and Arsenal here. Now, I'll explain to you when I get to the other book in the future, but this should have been the last page of this particular issue. This would have been a great cliffhanger here because even in this particular part of the story, you go on to a next story. If they ended it off like this would have been phenomenal, but the stories were out of order and it felt kind of out of place here. So you're kind of left hanging. Is this Green Arrow from Earth 2? Is this a Green Arrow? Is Green Arrow come back to life? You're left hanging there. And then the story continues with Count of Mist, how the heroes escape. And then you're left hanging with Power Girl makes her appearance somehow, some way in this series now also. You don't see any Frankenstein or what's happening with Brainiac or anything like that. You get to see that Brother's Eye is the thing that obviously in the future possesses all these creatures with this virus, or all the heroes with the virus. And then you see some one page of Batman Beyond, and I felt like they had to stick it in there, just say, hey, don't forget about Terry McGinnis because he's the main focal point in this particular series. And he really is, but in a sense, I feel like he's not. He's hardly been in the past 3 issues at all. So, yeah, I mean, this was okay because of the whole Green Arrow effect, and they were playing off a little bit off the last issue, but it wasn't nearly as impactful as the last one. So, again, I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It wasn't horrible, wasn't fantastic, but it was good. So, all right, so moving forward now, I keep losing my place. Number 7. So now we're moving on to number 7, and number 7 this week was Justice League issue number 33. I thought it was a solid book, solid read. It goes into capturing Power Ring. You get to see the Doom Patrol try to capture Power Ring. Lex Luthor is after, what's his name? Niles Calder. And, you know, again, the Doom Patrol and the Justice League and everybody else. And basically what this issue was about was, again, the two teams fighting for Power Ring, trying to get control of her. Now you get to see really the struggle that Jessica Cruz has with the ring and how the ring has control of her. And we can see that she has great fear, and that's why the ring is able to possess her. And in this issue, it focuses a lot on Lex Luthor and, again, the other guy from Doom Patrol on how they're better than each other. And a lot of this issue was like that. And I felt it was a little bit drawn out because it was like Lex Luthor was like, oh, I got this and I got that, which is cool to an extent. But when you add Jessica in there going, oh, I'm scared and blah, 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 and she just stands there and doesn't do anything. And then you got the two other guys going, oh, I'm better than you. I got better weapons than you. And I got better scholarships than you. I mean, that's how they are. They were just having this voice match against each other, you know, and who was better than each other. And then finally what happens is, you know, Batman winds up, you know, giving a motion to Jessica Cruz and knows how to beat the ring. And I thought that was pretty cool. And they wind up containing the ring and I guess getting her to a medical facility. And I guess now they're in control. I wasn't sure if she's still wearing the ring or if they took the ring off. But the Justice League now has her. And again, they're going to, I guess, find out what to do with this ring. The cool thing was about this is the end of the issue. I love the end, how Superman and Wonder Woman were discussing things with each other, and they're all having discussions about how Lex Luthor, how he would actually join the Justice League. And I thought that was really neat because it was like, what was it? Keep your enemies close, right? And that type of saying that they say. Yeah, so keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So with that being said, they initiate Lex Luthor into the Justice League, so they can have a short leash on him and always watch him firsthand. So I thought that was pretty cool. All in all, you know, Jeff Johns writes great when it comes to the Justice League in general. I think the artwork in here it was very good as well. You know, I'm not a fan of the Doom Patrol. You know, I thought there was a lot of lengthy discussion going on between certain characters. I love the ending, but it wasn't my favorite book of the week, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Really close to being 4, but it just wasn't quite there for me. All right, so this week we go on to the digital comic, number 7 this week, and it was, hopefully it comes up now, and you'll be surprised, Batman Eternal, if you guys can see it, issue number 22. That's right. Digital. I was able to read this from my good friend Jay, Comic Frontline. He scans in the internal copies for me, and so I'm still able to read it, even though I don't have the money to spend on it because I didn't feel it was good enough to spend the money and buy all the other stuff. So anyway, in this issue, last issue also was a much improvement. You got to see a lot of things unfold with issue number 21, where Jason Bard stands. You get to find out that Hush is in the series, what happens with Alfred. So there's a lot of things going on in this particular series right now that has made Eternal a much improved book. In this particular issue, you get to see Julia Pennyworth trying to get a hold of Batman in the issue and to let her know that his comrade has fallen and he needs him. And obviously Batman is busy doing something, but he finally gets a hold of Julia and they have conversations, and you know, he talks to her and says this is what Pennyworth would want, and I got to go on through this mission, and very interesting stuff here. And in this whole time, though, throughout this whole battle and this whole conversation that goes on between Julia and Bruce, we have the architect that's involved here, that's destroying this tower, and we also find out that what Batman doesn't know is that Hush is behind this whole thing, and I'm trying to get to the last page here. Which I thought was really interesting here. So that was great. Artwork was solid in this issue, just like last issue, and you know, it throws a lot of questions on what's going to happen with Alfred. Is he going to die? Is Julia going to take over in his place? I don't think that's going to happen, but it looks like he had like some fear toxin in him or something's going on, and so I don't know what's happening, but I thought this was a solid issue. I thought, I guess, Batman finding out that this was Hush was maybe a little bit quick, but again, that's my opinion. So, yeah, I like this issue. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The past 2 issues have been phenomenal when it comes to Batman Eternal. Hopefully, it stays consistent and it doesn't go back to sucking again. So, that was number 7 on this week's list. So, number 6 we go to now is Spider-Man issue 2099. Spider-Man 2099 issue number 3. Not as powerful as the number 2 issue. However, it was a good read, and we get to see Liz Allen send out Miguel O'Hara to go out with his grandfather, Tiberius Stone. You know, Peter David does a nice job writing this book, but the artist Will Sleaney does great artwork. I've really gotten used to his artwork real quick. At first, I know I was skeptical about the whole thing, but I've learned to enjoy his artwork. So we get to see these Spider Slayers being sold to this group. I forgot what it was because I read it over a week ago already, and we get to see that the deal had to be changed. And this whole city or town or whatnot has been destroyed by war and whatnot. So they're trying to cancel the sale when it comes down to the Spider Slayers. That's really what happens in this particular issue. And by the time you get to the end of it, we get to see Spider-Man. He gets into action. He gets thrown into battle with this Scorpion. This Scorpion looks a little bit different here, a little bit getting used to, but I thought it was pretty neat. And we get to see this battle erupt between the two, and not only do you have the Scorpion, but you have the Spider Slayers involved as well too. So I like that, as they didn't forget about these robot Spider Slayers. But yeah, this is pretty interesting to see. I like the book. I think it was fun. Did I think it was as good again as that last issue? No, but it's a good direction. It's a good, solid book. It's well written. It's well drawn all across the board. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5. All right, so number 5, right? Number 5. 1, 2. Yeah, books are sticking together. Or no. Number 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I don't know where I'm at right now. Hold on, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, number 4. I guess. Wherever I'm at number 4 because I have 4 comics left. Yes, 4 comics left. And number 4 this week was Tales of Terror, issue number 2. If you like horror comics, if you like Tales from the Crypt, if you liked, what's it called, Twilight Zone, Creep Show, this is going to be a comic for you guys. This has a tale of the Grim Reaper or death, telling her story, maybe this lesson of, you know, greed or gluttony or whatever it is, you know, to be aware. And if the person doesn't take the warning, what happens is certain things happen to you at the end of this issue, or you wind up dying. This book is done by Joe Bruscia. The writer is Shane McKenzie, and the artwork is done by Primislaw Clausen. And you get to see, again, Death make her appearance in the actual issue, and she gives a warning to these people to go to this Spider Queen's lair because there's this relic in here, and these people go anyway, and these two brothers go with this particular greedy man who's have every relic in the possible universe, but he wants to go no matter what. The brothers were a little bit hesitant at first, but it had to do with their father, and they come across this relic, and they go for it, and they see their dead father on the ground, and the greedy old man winds up, taking the relic, and there's these spiders that erupt all over the place, and they wind up, coming across these creepy old spider people that have these spider insignias on them. The old man runs away. Other people get infected by spiders. There's people that are blowing up. There's guts all over the place. The old man has spiders that fill up his belly. He blows up, and all because he wants this little relic. I think this book is what it is. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a different story each and every month. And I think if you like these types of comics, you're going to really enjoy it. And I loved it. So I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. All right. And I know that this was number 4. So I haven't done a countdown in a while, so I'm a little rusty. All right. So number 3 this week is The Death of Wolverine, issue number 1. Now, my gripe about this book is that it's $5. Okay, for $5, I want more story. I get that there's 4 issues here, but I would have loved to see more story when it comes to the death of Wolverine. Instead, you get lots of bonus material, which means origin of Wolverine, interview, director's cut, and my good friend Jay, again, at Comic Frontline, we were talking, and we were discussing, like, why not come out with a director's cut and make that a separate issue and make this $3.99 or add more content to it? That would have made more sense, because I was expecting a hefty first issue here, and I did not get that. Again, I got all kinds of cool bonus material, but again, I would rather get that story. Now, when it comes to the story itself, I think Charles Soule is a wonderful writer, and I think he did fantastic on the issue. I think it was very quiet Logan, man of few words, angry at times, the way we know Logan. Thought the artwork was solid in here. I thought the story was, simplistic to start. Good setup issue. You get to know why Logan, you get to see again Logan, why he doesn't have his healing factor, what it can do to him if he uses it, and you get to see cool little scenes here with Nuke, and you get to see cool character interactions between Nuke and Logan, and how Nuke was like, dude, that's not right. He knows that something's wrong with him, and then you're revealed with the villain at the end that's behind it all, and it is Viper, and has Sabretooth on a leash, which I'm not quite sure what that's about, but interesting to see, what's the whole story behind all this. Viper has these bounties, has this bounty on Logan's head to have all these guys go after him. The longer Logan is kept out there, the lower the bounty becomes. So what's her infatuation with Viper? What's Viper's infatuation with Logan? Not sure. We'll see. But solid read. Really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5 stars for me. Again, what brought the book down was all this. I didn't need it. As cool as it is, give people the option to buy a version, a director's cut. If it's there, maybe some people will buy it. But for the extra $1 or whatever, I don't need it. Or save it for the last issue. Like, I don't need all this. I really don't. Again, make it available for people who really want it, because I wasn't expecting this. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars just for that reason alone. All right, so number 2 this week. What got number 2? Number 2 was Original Sin issue number 8. Really solid book. Lots of things that were revealed here. Things that will still leave you guessing in the future, and I kind of wanted more when this was over. Love the ending of Original Sin. Wraps it all up. You find out what happens with Nicholas Fury, what happens to the Orb, what happens to Dr. Midas. And I thought it was a fun read, too, because you get all those revelations as the book progresses, and you finally find out what happens to the Watcher, and you kind of wind up guessing, did the Watcher make Nick Fury kill him? Did he actually see that it was Nick's time to be the Watcher? Did he see that the other eyeball was choosing the Orb or whatnot? Whatever the case may be, you find out a lot of things in this issue. You find out that supposedly Dr. Midas is dead because he couldn't handle all the energy. Exterminatrix takes his hand. The hand still has energy or whatnot. And again, as this issue progresses, you really get to see the Orb being chosen by the eyeball to be one of the next Watchers. And as Fury does his final battle against Midas, you get to see him. Here's that picture with the Orb being infused. And then you get to see Nick Fury trying to defeat Dr. Midas. And when you think he's dead after this big explosion, you wind up finding out that he becomes the next Watcher. Check out the Orb here. I thought that was really awesome. Cool artwork. Makes him look really creepy. Kind of gives him more of a role, I think, in the Marvel Universe. But yeah, you find out at the end that Nick Fury is the Watcher on Earth, and then you find out that Bucky Barnes is taking Nicholas Fury's position as the next, I guess, person on the wall, or whatever it is that you call him, Defender of the Universe. Isn't that Voltron? Whatever. But I thought it was a fun issue. Had lots of revelations here, and of course they sell you the series that's coming on. Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, based off of the events here. And then you get to see the whole thing with Thor, because Thor lost his hammer in this series. And so they try to sell you on that stuff in the future. But I thought it was a cool ending. Probably the best event I've read since Civil War when it comes to Marvel events. This was a fun read. Really enjoyed it. Really close to being my pick of the week. Gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay. The only thing I'm thinking is people might not be happy with the outcome, so I'm not sure. All right. My number one book of the week. And the reason why this got number one pick of the week was because of it surprised me. And I thought that it was such a great tie-in to what's going on in Future's End. And that was Green Arrow issue number 1. If you read the beginning of Future's End, you found out that Green Arrow was dead. But you never found out how he died, who killed him, and and what the whole story was with that. We just see that he's dead. And we don't know if he's coming back or whatever happened here. In this issue, it tells you all of that. It tells you basically who killed him, why he comes back, and how it ties into Future's End also in the last issue, because they throw in Green Arrow in the middle of that issue in Arsenal. And you're wondering, well, is that the real Green Arrow? But then after reading this, you find out that it is. And this was Jeff Lemire's last issue officially on Green Arrow, and I think he did justice for the series. I thought it was really cool that he had Naomi as a sidekick for Amiko, who plays Green Arrow 5 years from now. And she names herself the Dart, and they're going against Count Vertigo people, and I thought it was really cool. And again, you get the whole story about Oliver and how he knows about Canamus Island, how Deathstroke and his people are holding Earth 2 people in hostage and doing experiments on him, and how he's going to go to this island. And he meets up with Shadow, and he said that this is the one last thing that he's got to do, and then he'll join the Outsiders, which is all these people that you wind up seeing from the series in Jeff Lemire's run, which I thought was really neat. And we find out by the end of the issue is that you have Deathstroke in here makes his appearance, and he goes against Oliver McQueen, and you see how Oliver McQueen winds up actually dying. But hold on 1 second. After you see the neck being snapped, you wind up seeing that Oliver McQueen says, "Man, Deathstroke's stupid, isn't he?" And he winds up having Magus, as he's a morpher, wind up pretending that he is Oliver McQueen, and he doesn't really die, and that's how he fakes his death. So the whole time it was a fake death that Maxis did, or Magnus did, and I thought it was brilliant. I didn't see it coming. I mean, I felt that Green Arrow was somehow going to come alive, or he didn't really die. But I thought the whole thing was awesome, because in the beginning of Future's End, Arsenal played into the series, digging down on Firestorm. Oh, you let him die. You did this and you did that. And Arsenal's in the whole thing. He knew that this was going to happen. And you see him in the middle part of Future's End here. So I thought, out of all of these Future End books that came out this week, now I didn't read all of them, but the ones that I read at least, this tied in to the Future's End series, and I loved it for it. It made Future's End that much better for me in the weekly series. What I would have loved to see from the Superman issue was not this. I like the Superman issue for the moral part of the story, but what I would have loved to see from the Superman issue was them finding out what happened in that Great War, why Billy was, poses as Superman, and why Superman gave up, and see how that whole thing tied in. I would love to see that as well. But this is why this gets number one, because I didn't expect it. I didn't expect Jeff Lemire to write it. I didn't expect the same artwork. I didn't expect the outcome. I didn't expect that. And that's, for me, that's what made it a great book. Maybe artwork's maybe not perfect, but, for a lot of people, maybe you're not reading Future's End, so you could give a shit about it. But as for me, as a reader, as reading every issue of Future's End and a lot of these tie-in books, this made the most sense for me why it got number one pick. So, guys, there you have it. There is the countdown for the week. Hope you enjoyed Countdown episode number 73. As always, leave me your comments below. Tell me what your favorite book of the week was, what your worst book of the week was. And guys, also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook. You can find me there on Comic Book Corner, and you can follow me on Twitter as well. Comic Book Corner, you'll find me there. Also, I have links to all my videos on Twitter, so that's the best place to probably follow me if you're looking for all the videos. So again, guys, thank you for watching, and until the next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. See you soon, guys. Bye.